So when it comes to the Xbox Activision Blizzard acquisition, Microsoft is still in the process of trying to close this deal. They can go ahead and do it, but they're working with the CMA to come to an agreement where they'll be able to close it in the UK. Now, they beat the FTC in court. We know how that went, absolutely destroying them pretty much. The FTC having no good arguments. Sony kind of looking like an idiot. And we are seeing some more emails now and some more information come out based off of the cases that had gone to court. There's a bunch of stuff. I'll probably be making a couple more videos talking about it, but I want to talk about this one here because this is one of the most revealing emails I think that we have seen so far when it comes to PlayStation's standpoint as to why they want to block this. Before I continue, if you guys are new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you like the coverage of the Activision Blizzard acquisition as well as Xbox news going forward. Now, Jim Ryan, as we know, his main argument when trying to block the Xbox Activision Blizzard acquisition was that Call of Duty exclusivity would sink PlayStation. It would be the end of the platform. They wouldn't be able to survive, essentially calling it the main pillar of PlayStation. They would lose out on console sales. They wouldn't be able to run their subscription services. The game was exclusive to Xbox Game Pass. All of these things Jim Ryan was trying to sell as to why this deal needed to get blocked. And we instantly saw Xbox come out and refute that they were going to try to make this game exclusive and that this deal, they were making this deal for the mobile side of gaming. So much so, they offered PlayStation to have Call of Duty on their platform, starting off, I believe, with a 3-year deal and then eventually ending up on a 10-year deal. And then we've seen all of the deals that Microsoft and Xbox have made for Call of Duty and the Activision Blizzard catalog with streaming services and other platforms like the Nintendo Switch. So Jim Ryan's claim that he believed that Xbox was going to take Call of Duty exclusive in order to foreclose PlayStation was their main talking point, but it was essentially all a lie. And we have more proof here that it was all a lie. This is an article here from The Verge where we're getting some emails from the FTC versus Microsoft hearing. And this one says here that Sony's PlayStation chief privately said Microsoft's Activision deal wasn't about exclusive. So he sent out an email to Chris Deering, who was the former CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment, I guess getting his take on what he thought about exclusivity and where Xbox's play was going to be, and then revealing his cards that we are now seeing publicly that he never thought this deal was about exclusivity. Here is what Jim Ryan says. He says, "It's not an exclusivity play at all. They're thinking bigger than that, and they have the cash to make moves like this. I've spent a fair amount of time with both Phil Spencer and Bobby Kotick over the past day, and I'm pretty sure we will continue to see Call of Duty on PlayStation for many years to come." Right there. I mean, it's in plain English. He knew this thing wasn't about exclusivity, but he was able to use Call of Duty in order to get the regulators to really focus and scrutinize this deal all the way to being blocked by the CMA and then Microsoft having to go in court and fight it against the FTC. So you can look at this, I guess, two ways. First of all, he was clearly lying about the exclusivity thing. But secondly, I mean, he did his job as a businessman because he pushed this all the way that Microsoft had to go out and offer 10 years to PlayStation, which they potentially would have had to take a 3-year deal initially if they just wanted to keep Call of Duty, if there wasn't as much pushback against this overall deal. He also goes on here to say that we have some good stuff cooking. And he says here it's referring to Sony's Bungie acquisition, which Sony announced just days after the email exchange. So he was hinting at that was coming. He says, "I'm not complacent and I'd rather this hadn't happened, but we'll be okay. We'll be more than okay." Now, in a statement here to The Verge, David Cuddy, the general manager of public affairs at Microsoft, said this: "Today showed Sony has known all along will stand by our promise to keep games on its platform and make clear its work to lobby against the deal is only to protect its dominant position in the market." And that is the entire thing here that people have been looking at in terms of PlayStation's pushback and regulators taking PlayStation for what they are selling. It's basically looking like these regulators were just trying to protect PlayStation's dominant position in the market. They are the market leader compared to Microsoft, and them looking at poor PlayStation with this deal just made absolutely no sense to everybody. Now, that wasn't the end of the email exchange. Chris Deering actually responded to Jim Ryan saying that they had something cooking, which ended up being the Bungie deal, and saying that he wasn't complacent. And here is what he says. Phil Spencer was in CNBC saying that the acquisition would cement Microsoft as a player in mobile games, which is what he's been saying from the very beginning. This is not new news. Says, it strikes me more as a King play than Call of Duty. The King sold to Bobby Kotick, and has now grown to be worth $50 billion. If it was an Xbox exclusivity play, Spencer could have locked up Microsoft console exclusivity for the next 3 Call of Duty releases for maybe $5 billion. So essentially saying here, if they really wanted to just take Call of Duty off of PlayStation and try to hurt PlayStation in that way, they didn't even have to make this acquisition at all. They could have just paid Activision Blizzard $5 billion and gotten Call of Duty exclusive to the platform for the next 3 years. That makes complete sense. A lot of people were also mentioning this as to why Sony's argument from the very beginning had no weight behind it other than, I guess, fooling regulators into believing that it did make sense. And it continues here and says the major cash out will lure most of the talent to take the money and run as fast as their contracts will allow, leaving Microsoft with a very gnarly management challenge. So assuming he is saying here that people just won't want to stay working for Microsoft when their contracts are over. He says, I bet Yves is smiling like a Cheshire cat. Not sure he's talking about in terms of Yves here, but I'm thinking maybe Yves Guillemot from Ubisoft. I'm not sure what Yves is. Maybe let me know in the comments below if you know who he's talking about. And it says, if this was a play to end the run of PlayStation 5, I think it was a massively overvalued and will not meaningfully succeed. I guess Microsoft can piss away that kind of valuation without being more harmed than helped. But I am not losing a wink of sleep over the future of our baby. Hope you agree. Cheers, Chris. And he says, P.S. They would have been better off announcing a new electric car. So with this email here, it is showing Jim Ryan wasn't worried about exclusivity and that they were not actually scared about PlayStation having to be foreclosed. It was all just a play. It was all just theater to try to get the regulators to look further, scrutinize, and try to block this deal, because obviously at the end of the day, they would still be having better off. They would still rather them block the deal. And it was also a play to get, I guess, a better deal with Call of Duty, which did end up happening. So lots of interesting stuff here. And there are more emails and stuff that we will get information on from stuff being put out during this FTC versus Microsoft case right now. So I will definitely be going over that, but I will end the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.